In today's episode, I am joined by Midwife and First 1000 Days advocate Lauren Williams. Lauren and I discuss the sometimes difficult and often overlooked journey from maidenhood to motherhood. Our conversation is raw, honest, and an invitation to view this important milestone in a different light. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Live Mindfully with Laurie Moore. Today I am joined by a beautiful person that I first met at a yoga retreat 12 months ago. Lauren Williams is an endorsed midwife, infant massage educator, and First 1000 Days advocate. She's joining me today to talk about a really important topic, matrescence. Now, this might be the first time that you have ever heard this word. When I first reached out to Lauren about joining me on the podcast, I told her that I wanted to talk about motherhood. In particular, two things: the health of mothers and what we can do to support ourselves more in motherhood, and whether or not she believes that mothers are momentarily rejected by society each time they enter motherhood. And she came back to me with this word, matrescence. So to kick us off, first of all, Lauren, a very big welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Laurie. Thanks so much for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. I just would love to hear what your explanation of matrescence is.
Okay. Matrescence, before I can explain what matrescence is, I'll give your audience a bit of an understanding of the history and the meaning of the word, and why it might feel so foreign to some people. I'm by no means an expert in this field. I will give you some great podcasts and websites for your audiences to go and learn a little bit more about. But I came across this word about 3 or 4 years ago, which is so strange to me as a midwife working with mothers not to have heard this word. And when I did and learnt about what it meant, it was like the most familiar concept to me, like I had been connected to it for such a long time. And it's probably what drives me now to, in my work as a midwife, to really bring this word out so that women can resonate with their transition to motherhood. So the word matrescence was first coined about 50 years ago by an anthropologist and breastfeeding advocate. Her name was Dana Raphael. And she was doing some studies on how women were supported in the way that they became mothers, rather than what at the time a lot of the studies was about what happened to babies in birth and during labour and birth. She's also the person that coined the term doula. So, yeah. So doula is like a worldwide used and known word to describe a woman's advocate during birth and the postnatal period. But Dana's work on matrescence, which she described, was the critical missing piece of understanding and acknowledging what happens to women as they journey to and through motherhood. Sadly, her work on matrescence just faded into the background of academic journals. So it was over 50 years ago that this word was first brought out. And that was until it was revived by Dr. Aurelie Athan. She was a clinical psychologist, and she revived the term in 2008 and started applying the concept of matrescence to maternal mental health. She built on the definition of matrescence to include the psychological and emotional experiences of women as they journey into becoming mothers. But by far, she has been the one that has brought it more to mainstream. So she likened matrescence to adolescence. Okay, so it was a really big turning point, an important parallel that we needed to open up the conversation, to it is a critical period of radical change and transformation that involves physical. So adolescents go through changes in their bodies, mothers go through changes in bodies with pregnancy, hormonal. Teenagers rage and they have all of these hormones that we allow them time and space to connect with. But when pregnant women become hormonal, or then after the birth, when you're shifting from pregnancy hormones to milk making hormones, like that can just be an absolute minefield. Then the psychological and social changes. So motherhood is like, particularly your first time, is the first time we've really stopped. You know, we've gone through high school, and then you decide, where am I going to be in the world? What mark am I going to be? Do I go to university? Do I start working? And it's go, go, go. And then you become a mum. Your social network all changes. So, you know, people will either outweigh your expectation or they disappoint you. So you are changing at the core. Your values, what you believe the world to be, is changing at your core. So your spiritual development as well. So in a nutshell, matrescence is the word that describes the monumental transformation that women go through to become mothers. It's not about the physical act of giving birth, because mothers can be stepmothers or foster mothers or surrogacy. It is the redefining of your identity or your sense of self. It is the developmental rite of passage that we all go through. I mean, every child comes from a mother. So we don't acknowledge these rites of passage in our culture.
It's so interesting. You just said it before, that when we're pregnant, and I was thinking about this the other day, we fall pregnant, and deeming we go through the conventional hospital route, we immediately have this like group of people supporting us through our pregnancy. But it is very much, the focus is very much on that, on the child, on the baby. And especially if this is our first pregnancy, we have these regular checkups with the GP. Maybe we have regular checkups with our midwife. We have appointments at the hospital or the birthing center. As we get closer to that 9-month period, the appointments increase, could be as much as weekly. And in addition to that, you mentioned this too, our social calendars don't really change. In that very first pregnancy, we go from high school, making our decisions, where we're going to be in the world. Maybe we meet our partner, we fall pregnant. And for the most part, we're still working full-time or part-time. We're still catching up with friends. We're still going out. Things don't really change. But then when we have the baby, most of our medical appointments cease within that first month. We have this huge hormonal change that you just spoke about. In addition to that, we are sleep deprived. We have this new little person who we really have just met for the very first time that we are now in charge of. We have this whirlwind of visitors. It's like our front door is just a revolving door, people coming in and out. And then it kind of all, it stops, and we have to stop too. And for me, I felt like I was just alone with a baby. And I guess I could have kept up my social calendar. And I guess for a period of time there, I really tried to, especially with other mums. And I don't want to say that I felt unsupported, but what I felt was that, and maybe I placed this expectation on myself, that I couldn't meet the expectation that I had in my head. And I felt there was an inbuilt stigmatism toward asking for help as well. So for me, it felt like people would come over, they'd take the baby, and then I could go and throw a load of washing on, or I could make everyone, like I was hosting. And it was a really weird time for me, more internal, I guess, than anything else. And I feel relieved by kind of the explanation that you've given, because we do create space for our adolescents to have that hormonal change, but we don't have a lot of responsibility. But when we go through maidenhood to motherhood, we have probably the greatest responsibility we've ever had in our entire lives. And I'd really love to tap into what your experience, because you are a mother, your children are a little bit older. What has your experience been?
Well, listen, my children, I've got 2 boys. They're now 17 and 14. I was a youngish mum, I guess, by today's standards. So our first baby was a welcome surprise. I was 25. Well, we were 25. He was not unwanted. My husband and I have been together since high school, but certainly I was just starting my career as a midwife. Yes, it's a bit perplexing that a midwife can accidentally get pregnant, but that's a whole other women's health issue. I had been on the pill, from very early on, and my husband was going away to study, and I decided to have a break while he was away, but obviously ran out 2 weeks prior, and there you go. You get a baby. But I truly believe babies choose us, and they come at a time that give us the greatest lessons. But it's only recently that I've been looking at my own journey through motherhood from a matrescence lens, only probably in the past 2 years. And that's probably because I feel like, people always said to you in those moments of, being in the trenches of those young babies when you feel completely tapped out, you're going to look back at this and you're going to miss it. And, how many times have you heard that or even said that? And I'm actually sitting on the verge of my next rite of passage, that my children are moving on. And yes, I'm reflecting back on that and what I would do differently. I don't believe in regret. I think regret is what makes you the person that you are. But I would certainly do things differently. I loved being pregnant the first time, loved it, always wanted babies. That's why I became a midwife. I had a straightforward birth as well. It wasn't exactly how I wanted to go, but, I came home and loved everything. The wake ups, the 2 hourly feeds, the breastfeeding. I was in my zone because I felt comfortable. I knew what to do with a newborn baby. So a lot of people that aren't midwives won't have that luxury, obviously. But as I went, as my baby got older, the changes really started to show. Like, we lost a lot of friends because we were 25. All our friends were partying, and my mum doesn't live in New Zealand. My mum doesn't live in Australia. She lives in New Zealand. Nor did I have that relationship with my mum that I felt that I needed her. I was quite a very independent person growing up. There was a lot of fraction changes happening in my husband's family at the time too, so we didn't really have a lot of family support on that side. And then I returned back to work, and it was probably not until we decided to have a second baby that I guess the enormity of matrescence really hit me, because when I became pregnant with my second baby, so I don't feel that there's ever an end date to matrescence. It's something that just continually evolves as your children, and you can experience it differently. But my second pregnancy was really tough. I really felt the no social network, no connection to anyone. I didn't feel like anyone knew what I was going through. I was really sick. My husband was training for Ironman at the time, so very absent in the early mornings when you're sick and you're getting up at 4:30 in the morning with a toddler, and it was quite challenging. My toddler really challenged me.
I think that's just the overarching explanation of a toddler.
Yeah. But then I was in a space that I didn't know how to navigate. I knew what to do with babies, but I had no idea what to do with a toddler. And my unraveling started from there. I became quite anxious and depressed in my pregnancy. And we know now that your well-being in pregnancy heightens your chance of postnatal depression in your after the baby. Yes. So then I had my second baby, and again loved the baby stage. Felt like I can do that really well. But I always felt feeling really challenged by my other child, and I saw a GP with my feelings, and she prescribed medication for me. just to try and cope. And
Amazing.
that would be the first thing, though, that I never asked better questions.
Yeah.
I guess she wasn't giving me any real direction for support. It was more, here's a pill. This is normal, for some women. This is postnatal depression or anxiety. But I need you to stop breastfeeding to take this medication. And that was when my second child was like 4 or 5 months, which was just heartbreaking to me. And I did it. I did it without questioning, because I was just in this hole of not having any support, no reference point. I didn't have a friend who was going through it. I didn't have a support network around me at all. And of course, I knew who I was being at home, and my children were reflecting back at me. I was, angry and highly strung. So my journey through my second matrescence, I think, was really hard, and it went for many, many years. And I threw myself into other things than being a mother. I was such a good midwife. I got so much validation from work. I worked 12-hour shifts. I was there for other mothers, and I threw myself into that role. And then I threw myself into researching, and I started a master's. Well, at the time it was a PhD, but my mental health needed to bring it back down to a research master's. So although I don't regret anything, as I said, it got me to where I am. Would I do that again when my children were so little? Absolutely hard no, because I wasn't present. I wasn't a present mum. I was always stressed and angry, either sleeping after night shift, after a 12-hour night shift, or researching. Then I decided to go and train for marathons as well. So I did anything then to sit in that space of motherhood. And that is really sad for me to reflect on now. And I guess I'm journeying through that. But when I came across this word matrescence and understood that it was these radical changes that I was feeling, this loss of sense of self that I was trying to hold on to, this badge of honor of busyness that I was working and studying and mothering and doing all the mental load at home. I actually have no idea how I did it now in hindsight. But that's not what the mother I wanted to be. And so the matrescence word has allowed me to really unburden myself from some of that guilt and the isolation that I felt. And I guess drives me now to prepare women for these feelings, that we have such an overemphasis on postnatal depression, on anxiety, on the challenges of motherhood. But motherhood can be so joyous as well. Motherhood is a time to rebirth yourself, to raise yourself again, to have all the possibilities, to be the person that you want to be. But the mother is the primary attachment figure for babies and children, and they need us. So to prepare women that it's okay, and to have these conversations, to reframe this conversation about what we value about motherhood. Like, our culture just does not value slowing down, being in the moment, being present. Like, I wasn't the school mum. I wasn't there. And now I'm so sad that I missed all of that. And in the end, that's connection is what we need as human beings for our well-being. It's not what house you live in, or what masters you wrote, or what car you drive. It is presence. It is a healthy mindset for our parents, for our children. And it's marveling in the little humans that we created, and just guiding them to be the people that they're going to be. And matrescence, I guess, if women can understand, you will feel a radical shift. By design, mothers are primed to protect the most vulnerable in their household. The oxytocin that is released at birth, the skin to skin that keeps rising, is a protective factor for our brain. It draws attention to that baby so that you can just hone in and be there for your baby. But over time, those little parts of yourself are going to creep back in and say, hey, I remember that. I enjoyed that. I want to do that. And so that is the tug of war of motherhood, isn't it? It's just that old identity versus the new identity. And so if women know that that's coming and that they're going to feel this psychological, emotional, spiritual shift as they become a mother, and that's completely okay, and surround yourself with other people that honor that, and hold space for that, and not just get back to work. It's normal, take a pill. That's why I'm talking to you today, really.
Yeah, so, I agree. Yeah. I want to, first and foremost, I want to thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story so honestly, because I know that that could not have been easy for you to do. And the other thing that I want to touch on is we do need to change the way that this narrative plays out, because, and I think we need to do that from the perspective of the mother. We need to step into that power of knowing that there is a shift from maidenhood to motherhood, knowing that it is okay, and then explaining that to the people around us. I would love to see a shift around the way pregnancy is treated in a lot of respects, particularly with Western medicine. I'd love to see there be a shift from complete focus on baby and mother's health only to get baby earthside to mother's health. Because you said it before, healthy mum, healthy baby. And another thing that I have heard over the years is we don't need to help the mother the baby.
No.
We need to help the mother and let her, give her space, give her time, and give her support, take away the additional superfluous stuff that we've got going on so that she can step into that role of motherhood with all of the grace and dignity that we want to step into motherhood with. Yes. It's very difficult to be the primary carer going through all of those radical changes in your own body when you're also expected to cook dinner every single night and keep the washing rolling over and keep the folding and keep the house. Well, you're home now. You're not working. Why? Yep. What's the drama? You're here. What else are you doing? I'm caring for the
mental load of motherhood. That's
the mental load of motherhood.
Yeah.
And that really feeds into my next question. I mean, we've talked about a little bit about the impact that that does have on mothers, that mental load, and it becomes burdensome. It did for me as well, because how am I supposed to maintain the running of a household pretty much unsupported? My husband's out there working, he's earning the money. I understand that. We need that too. But I've also got a baby, I've also got a toddler, and I've also got to pretend like I'm capable. I'm more than capable of coping with this. I don't need help. I can't ask for help because that'll make it look like I'm not capable. And you don't have the amount of times that I have said and said to my children when they were little, in a minute.
Yep.
I've just got to, in a minute, I will be with you in a minute, in a minute, in a minute. I don't say that anymore. I stop whatever I'm doing and I get up and I go and I see what my child wants to show me, or we play a game, or I have really shifted the way that I do motherhood. But in the very, very beginning, there was this expectation. People even said to me, oh, you'll be an amazing mother. You'll be able to handle everything. People kind of placed this expectation on me that I felt, and again, internally, but I felt like if I said that I needed help, I was a big fat old failure for sure.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you can handle it. You're amazing. I would have loved for people to have said to me, you don't need to handle it. What do you need? I'll step in. I'll help you. I'm happy to do it. You spend time with that baby. I'm going to, like, I would love for that to just be the way that society operates. But I really feel as though that conversation needs to start with us. We need to get that mindset of, I'm not going to allow everybody else to make me feel like I'm a bad person because I want to spend at least the first little part of my child's life being just a mother. So what do you think we can do as mothers to lighten this burden? Like, is it about having conversations? What else do we need to do? Is it about mental preparation during pregnancy?
It's a bit of all of that. So you are right. We prepare the mother for this one big day in their life, the birthday. And then there might be 2 or 3 slides on a PowerPoint at the end of that talks about, a little bit about breastfeeding, postnatal depression, and what are the signs to look out for. I have really changed the way that I approach being a midwife after learning more about the matrescence, and I'll touch a little bit about the first 1,000 days research. So I'm going to share with your audiences a resource to learn about that. But we're knowing so much more about how babies' brains develop. And the critical first 1,000 days is from pregnancy, from conception to the age of 2, which means it is mother's well-being.
Yeah.
So it is about nourishing the mother whilst pregnant. It's about good food. It's about trying to identify those risks that would a baby would come out into poverty or domestic violence. It's about asking the right questions, not just about her pregnancy symptoms. But for the mother, it's also about looking into more than just the birth, going beyond, having a postnatal plan, starting to, fill their feed with things about motherhood or postnatal, or not just about birth, having an understanding of the things that they might experience. Start looking in their village. If I don't have a mum here, who is going to be my village? I mean, we hear that all the time, that it takes a village to raise a child. And look, it does. And over time, unfortunately, we have moved away from that village, and some cultures do it beautifully, but Western cultures not so much. So your friends can be your village. If you don't have friends or you're isolated, then you start looking in your local communities. Where do mums hang out? Because the most important part is going to be aligning and supporting and finding that support postnatally. It's about having those conversations with your partner. How much value do you place on the money that you spend? Like, are you buying all of these big gadgets for the babies? Babies don't need much. They need a car seat. They need somewhere safe to sleep. They need lots and lots and lots of love. And a baby carrier. They don't need all your fancy gadgets. So spend that money on maybe saving to have extra time off. If your paternity or maternity leave runs out, save up for that.
Yeah, get a cleaner.
Get a cleaner.
Ask friends to cook meals as opposed to bring baby clothes.
Babies don't need teddies and more blankets and cute clothes. They need a healthy family unit.
Yeah.
And if, I heard on a recent podcast, someone talked about having a postnatal train of friends. So you've got Monday, you've got Tuesday, you've got Wednesday. I'll keep a box at my door. You drop off a meal, and if I want to see you, I will. But if I don't, I won't. And I just think that's beautiful.
That is.
And that's what I would say is mothers do need to prepare for that. But then once you are a mum, it is also carving out that time for yourself. So it is finding things that fill your cup, whether it's getting up slightly earlier than your toddler to have a journaling session, or setting an expectation for your day. This is how I'm going to show up today. An intention, or ringing a friend, or going, as soon as partner comes home, just say, okay, you're on, I'm having a shower. It is about, holding self-worth for our own mental health and our own well-being, and that's paramount for the child, because the experiences that a child has in those first 2 to 5 years actually sets up their brain for how they are going to treat others. So empathy, how their brains are going to develop, their bodies are going to develop, their emotions are going to develop. So it is such an important time that we shouldn't just be rushing back to work. We shouldn't be busy. Our culture needs to start valuing the work of mothers, because if we're going to change culture and societies down the track, it starts with babies. So it takes 4 generations to change. And we are, I don't want to generalize here, but we're the product of parents that were parented by parents, so 4 back, that thought children should be seen and not heard. There was no outward affection to children. And now I love it that our culture now is more attachment style parenting. We're cutting out the noise of our parents and our grandparents saying, don't spoil the baby. And we're spoiling the baby. We're cuddling the baby, which is fabulous. And that's what that period is supposed to be about. It is that investment in that child.
You can't overlove a baby.
You cannot, and they're not manipulating you. They are communicating with you. You
do hear that, don't you? You're going to make a rod for your back. That's fine. It's a rod I'm happy to carry. I also want to say you can't overlove a mother. For anyone who's listening, you can't overlove a mother.
No, and if she says she doesn't need anything, she does. She's just being proud.
Yes. She is. Make her a meal. Just make her a meal. If you know what her favorite meal is, make her a meal. Bring her lunch. So she doesn't have to make it. If you come to that house to visit her and that baby, show up, put on those gloves, do that washing up, bring her some lunch.
Yeah.
Take a chore off her to-do list. That's what you need to do. That's what we need to be doing. And I mean, the good thing is like, I feel like we're actually not that far away from the recognition of this. I feel like it's not actually that big of a leap that we need to make here. It's just a mindset shift that we need, a little bit of a tweak here, where we just need to go from the fixation on she can do it all to I'm not going to let her do it all. I remember my husband used to come home from work. No criticism to him here, but he used to come home from work and I'd say, can you please take our son or can you take our daughter? And he'd say, yeah, I just need to go to the toilet. And I would go, really? Because I haven't gone to the toilet all day. I'd actually really like to go to the toilet. That's why I've asked you. And I'd go, yep, no worries. That's fine. And I look back on that now and I'm like, I should have said to him, when you come home from work, I need to know the time you're going to be home, because for that hour, you're on. And I'm going to go for a walk by myself, not a walk with the family. I'm going to go for a walk by myself. I'm going to journal. I'm going to do some yoga. I'm going to do some meditation. I don't want a couple of things. The first thing is I don't want you to walk through the front door and dump your day on me. The second thing is I don't want you to ask me what that child needs. Work it out. Or what's for dinner. Like, work it out. You can work it out. I will let you know the important things you need to know, like nappy has been changed. I've just given her a bottle. But don't ask me, what does that cry mean? Not the minute you walk through the door. Let me go and have 30 minutes without you asking me questions or dumping your day on me, because my head is about to explode. And do not walk in that door and ask me to do something for you. Give me just 30 minutes so that I can clear my mind and take a deep breath and just be with me for a minute, just to refill my cup, because we don't need much to refill our cups. I mean, I don't need a weekend getaway or a total night off. I need 30 to 40 minutes without having necessarily a baby on me, without being asked to do something, and without having a chore that I need to do, just something where I can take a fresh breath of air. And
I think we are changing. Like,
yeah, I think so.
when I see parents, and I see a lot of parents together now,
Yes,
in my work.
amazing.
So it is really 50-50. So it's 50-50 parenting, it's 50-50 cooking and washing. Whereas back in, our parents' days or further back from there was that whole mum's at home doing all of these and dad's earning the wage.
Yes.
Now that's 50-50. And I think that's brilliant. And dads have a bit of a journey in order to work through when they're expecting a child, because they're basically working out how to be fathers, modeling off their mothers, not necessarily modeling off their fathers, because that's not the father they want to be. So that imprint that we all come with is completely being turned on its head. And there's a great, I'll put it in the notes, but there's a great, if you're in Brizzy, for dads, it's called Mr. Dad. So it's preparing for those shifts that come with the transitions of coming with fatherhood as well. So I do think that we are changing. We're changing the
I think we are too. And I think if I had felt confident to ask my husband for that, he would have given that to me. That wouldn't have been a step. He wouldn't have been like, no, I'm not doing that. It came from me. I didn't ask. And I don't know why. Let's shift gears a little bit here. So you run infant massage groups. Can you explain the benefits of infant massage and the connection that might bring between mum and bub, or whoever gives that baby massage?
It's whoever. Okay, so infant massage is the best parenting tool. It is the most beautiful, and it's been used around the world in so many different countries for years and years. It's getting traction in Western countries. But as I touched base before, babies, all they need is loving touch to help their bodies and brains develop. So it's a way that you can help your baby develop. It has big benefits in terms of aiding better sleep and relaxation. It builds confidence in new parents, because if you know how to relax your baby and then you relax yourself in those moments where you feel that the baby's being quite fussy. Now, there's certain times that you do and you don't massage your baby, and I teach you this in your baby massage, but it can help with pain, and you want to start early. So there's no too early. We naturally or instinctively start massaging our babies as soon as they get put onto our chest. We're rubbing them up and down. Okay, but there's sequences that you learn for different body parts, and you use words. So babies are nonverbal. So this is a way that you can communicate with your baby. They set up that this is a time for them. This is a time for relaxation. It can help with any pain that they've got, maybe in their tummy, or teething. When you get to the face, you can help with teething pain. When they start crawling, their little joints get sore and stiff. So there's definite benefits in terms of the relaxation and pain. For parents, the benefit is that time of bonding with your baby, particularly once you go back to work. You're carving out that time. Maybe it's after bath time, or maybe it's just before bedtime, that you're having 10-15 minutes with your baby and you're massaging your baby. So it builds confidence, gives you that one-on-one. It lowers postnatal depression. So there is so many benefits to both the mother and the baby, or the parent and the baby, for doing massage. And it's something that if you start early, then as your baby grows, and when they're teenagers, it might just be a time you can identify that they're getting a bit tense, and they might just fall in your lap. So that's them offering a part of them. So if you start really early, it's a time that loving, appropriate touch is a way to communicate. It doesn't always have to be about words. And I'm absolutely loving teaching it to parents as a way that they can understand their baby's cues. You get to learn your baby's cues because you're tapped in with your baby. So I run them monthly at the moment out of a little gym in the Sanford area in Brisbane. It's called Fusion Wellbeing. But I also, in my midwifery space, when I'm doing some postnatal home visits, I teach new parents one-on-one baby massage. So it's just a new skill set that I've added to, which I think complements my midwifery beautifully. And it's teaching parents a new skill that they can take with them.
I think it's so important. In Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga, the first 40 days, the recommendation is that you massage that baby every single day. And the oil also helps to strengthen their skin, and their skin the thicker their skin gets, the more protection they've got and a more immunity that they've got, as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of research around massaging premature babies and sick babies for the immunity boost that they get. So it goes beyond just skin to skin.
Yeah, it's also you can't massage fast.
No, 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 so and it's not like us where it's deep tissue. It's more
light
flow,
and gentle.
It's light and gentle, and it's a way that you can start building your baby's brain in terms of saying, look how long you are, so they understand where they are in the world. You can count fingers. You can go, this is your pointer finger, and count, talking, singing, nursery rhymes. So, voice. Babies just think their mums are absolute rock stars. So if they have a way of feeling touch, feeling relaxed, learning a word association. So we usually always have a start, a middle, and an end to massage. So you always ask permission to massage your baby. Then you go through some sequences. You watch your baby's cues. If they're saying, "Oh no, I'm not really into it today," then you stop. It's a good way to respect your baby. Because although they can't say it, they're giving you those nonverbals. They're arching their back, they're crying, and that's just saying, I'm not ready for this now, or I don't want this now. So it's building respect for your baby. And then at the end, though, if you have gone through a massage sequence, it's word association of saying, just relax, just relax. So they can associate that feeling that they have with feeling relaxed in their body. And gosh, if we can all have that throughout our days, we would be much kinder to ourselves and to the people around us. So
yeah, it's so true. You just said before that babies think their mums are rock stars. It's because they are rock stars. If you are a mum and you are listening, you are a rock star. You really, really are. And I would imagine that with infant massage, the same way I do teach mothers about breath work, I imagine there would be some co-regulation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Which is so important.
You shouldn't, a mother or a father shouldn't try and massage their baby if they are not 100% present and in the moment and tense, because we're all vibration. That vibration goes to your baby, and then it's just not going to be an enjoyable experience for either. So it's something that you do have to learn and practice. It's not something that babies are going to love instantly for a whole 30 minutes or feels natural to parents, after one or two goes. It is something that you learn the sequences and then you practice over time. Yeah.
Amazing. So as we wrap up, I want to invite you to share any final thoughts, any final statements that you would like to say, tie this little episode into a nice bow.
Yeah. Well, I guess to all that, we are talking about matrescence mainly. So I guess all the new mums out there, all the seasoned mums out there that might be just learning this word for the first time, it is a radical transformation, but it is natural and beautiful, and it is a period of growth. So I want you to be able to embrace the changes and seek the support that you need. Prioritize your own mental well-being. Above all else, trust your instincts. We have the internal wisdom within us to parent. No one knows how to parent until you become a parent. Yes, you will reflect on your own upbringing, but you're going to either want to change those or feel the pressure to parent the same. Remember, you're not alone on this path. So that's my main thing, is just find connection with people grab that support and just know that you've got this. Like, you're a mum for the rest of your life. You don't have to get it right in the first 4 weeks. It is a journey. And so, yeah, trust your instincts, embrace the changes, and it's a fantastic catalyst of change that you can grow from.
Yeah, it is really a beautiful time in life, going from maidenhood to motherhood. And if we think about what we actually need, what do I need as I'm moving into this? What do I want to be doing? Do you want to be doing the washing up? No, hand it over to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. Lauren, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like I have learned a lot. And I am sure that those listening will feel the same. If any of the content has upset you in any way, this is for our listeners. You can get support from Panda, PANDA, by calling 1300 726 306 or going to panda.org.au. There's another one as well, which is COPE, COPE.org.au, which is the Centre of Perinatal Excellence if you're in Australia. Lauren, a very big thank you. Thank you. You can reach out to Lauren on Instagram at tapestryoflife_midwife or reach out to her in any other way.
Yeah, my email is tapestryoflife.midwife@gmail.com. I also do private midwifery services out of Vera Women's Wellness in the Sanford Valley. So this is my time now to slow the pace down and just work with women as they journey to and through motherhood. So I'm really enjoying this new found pace for my life as well. So
awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laurie.
I want to take this moment to thank Lauren for her honesty in sharing her experience of matrescence and all of the information she has provided in journeying from maidenhood to motherhood. Lauren has provided a plethora of links to learn more about this topic in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I am sure you are walking away with a wealth of new knowledge. Take some time to ground and reflect, especially if you are a new mother or about to become one. If you know of anyone who will benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them using the links in the podcast app. I will be back again next week with another great episode. Until then, take good care of yourself.